Hello everyone, we are discussing RPC ACF exam paper. So first question is, which one of the following is false? From the four given statements, transmission losses are minimum in case of AC. Yes, it is true. The transmission losses are minimum because it can alternate or step up the voltage and step down the voltage in comparison to DC. Transmission losses are minimum, so it is true. Chalk is used as a filter to prevent ripple in power supply. Yes, this is also true. Chalk is the inductor L, which is used as a filter in to prevent ripple in the power supply. An ideal transformer should have zero power dissipation in primary and secondary coil. Yes, this is also zero. Power dissipation is also zero for ideal transformers. And next question statement is, diode cannot be used as rectifier. This statement is false. Diode is used as a rectifier. The work of rectifier is to convert the AC into DC. So a diode is used in a circuit where AC source is connected in a circuit and a DC and a load is connected, load resistance. So when the polarity of AC is plus at top and minus is this, now the current is flow in forward direction in PN junction diode. So this is the curve for current of AC, current versus time in AC. Now the graph for this diode half wave rectifier diode is, in case of plus half, this polarity is plus and current will flow, therefore it is shown by here. And now in case when the polarity reversed and minus is at this position and plus charge is at this position, now current is flowing from this side and junction P is at low potential. In this case, this is the case of reverse bias, so no current is flow in diode in reverse bias. So from this position to this position there is no flow of current. Now again when the polarity changes plus and minus, then in this case current will flow. So this is how this is the graph for a rectifier, half wave rectifier, when we use a AC source. So it rectifies the current and make it into DC. This is current flowing in case of AC, and this is the diagram for current flow in DC. In DC, the current will not cross this time axis. The current will flow in same direction. So this is the curve for DC. So this statement is false. Next question is, energy stored in a charge capacitor given by where E is the electric field and K is the dielectric constant of medium between the two plates. From this formula, K is the dielectric constant, means this is K, and epsilon naught is the permittivity of free space and E is the electric field. So we have to find the energy stored. So the formula for energy stored in a capacitor is U equals to half CV square. C is the capacitance and V is the voltage. and we all know that voltage is electric field into some distance, and capacitance C is given as when a dielectric K is used, epsilon naught K into D upon A, where D is the area between the two plates of capacitors. This is the distance D between these two capacitors plates. So this is the value for capacitance C and value for voltage V. We will put this in equation first. So we get energy stored is equals to half capacitance is epsilon naught A into K. Sorry, A will goes in downward. So epsilon naught K into A upon D into voltage V is electric field E into D and its square. Now half epsilon naught K into A upon D multiplied with electric field square into distance square. So this is cancelled out, and what remains, mu is equals to half epsilon naught area into distance between them into K, the dielectric constant, into electric square of electric field. So this term, what is this term? Area into some thickness, or you can say distance, is volume. So half epsilon naught K E square upon, let's say, per unit. So this is the energy stored per unit volume in a capacitor. So our answer is half K epsilon naught E square. So the second option is correct. Next question is, the energy of a system is equally divided among all degree of freedom. This is the statement of. We have already done many questions on this statement. So the statement says that the energy is equally divided among all degree of freedom. That this is the statement of equipartition energy of gases. And for equipartition energy of gases, this energy, internal energy U, is related as half degree of freedom F into kT. I will simply write it half kT, or you can say that if n moles are there, then n by 2 half kT. So this is the equipartition theorem of energy. Next question is, coefficient of self diffusion of gas is independent of. Coefficient of self diffusion of gas is depends on temperature, pressure and molecular diameter, means molecular dimensions, all of them, but not depends on this viscosity. So this is the answer. Coefficient of self diffusion of gas is independent of the viscosity of the gas. Next is, energy is not carried by. There are four following waves given, in which we have to find that in which wave energy is not transferred by the particles. So in case of transverse progressive waves, energy is transferred. These are the transverse progressive waves in which the particle oscillates and transfer the energy to the next particle, their neighboring particle. So this is how the energy will transfer to every particle. But in case of next wave, which is electromagnetic wave, same process is takes place. This energy is also transferred by the oscillation of particle and in the form of photons. So in electromagnetic waves, energy is also transferred. In stationary waves, the energy is not transferred, because in the stationary waves the particle will remain oscillating at their mean position and will not transfer any energy to other particles. They will do a to and fro motion in upward and downward direction in their particular regions, but they will not transfer any energy. So these are the stationary waves. And in longitudinal waves, the energy is transferred. So the answer is stationary waves will not transfer any energy or not carry any energy to the next particle. Which of the following is, next question is, which of the following is an essential condition for motion of to be in simple harmonic? So the most essential condition for simple harmonic motion is the force is directly proportional to the displacement of an object from its mean position, and which is coming towards the mean position. So it is given by a negative direction, a value -1. So on removing the proportionality, a constant k is introduced. So this is the condition which is important for simple harmonic motion, because in simple harmonic motion this object will displaced from its mean position to an extreme position, and the force will proportional to the displacement from its mean position, and when and it is in opposite direction of the displacement. It applies in opposite direction. So the statement which is true is force proportional and opposite to the displacement. So fourth option is correct. Next is, if an ammeter is used in case of voltmeter, in place of voltmeter, then the ammeter should be connected with a, guys, ammeter, voltmeter is used, it have a high resistance of a voltmeter is very high, and a galvanometer having high resistance in series can be used as a voltmeter. So it is a high resistance galvanometer, and ammeter is a low resistance. It is used as low resistance in galvanometer, and it is connected in parallel with any circuit because its resistance is very low. So to use this ammeter as a voltmeter, we have to connect this this ammeter in series with a high resistance. So we have to connect a high resistance in series with an ammeter, so it will work as a voltmeter. So the high resistance in series is used to convert a voltmeter in ammeter. Next is, Which of the following is true in regards to an adiabatic process? So we have to find which of the following is true in case of adiabatic process. In adiabatic process there is no exchange of heat, so change in heat transfer is simply zero. And from first law of thermodynamics we know that dq is equals to du plus dw, so the work done is equals to minus du, because it is equals to 0 dq is. And the gas will expand freely in adiabatic process because there is no external work is done, so the gas will expand and system will do the work by itself. The external work is not done on the system, so it expands freely. First is correct. Molar heat capacity for adiabatic process is 0. Yes, the molar heat capacity for adiabatic process is will be 0, because molar heat capacity will given by dq upon dt. So this is the by there is no change in heat, so the molar heat capacity will be ultimately 0. And the internal energy is, yes, this is the formula for internal energy and cvdt for an adiabatic process, because cp will not this is the formula for internal energy. And from all, since all the three are correct, so all of the above is true. This option is correct. Next is, which of the following is correct? We have to choose the correct statement. Rate of cooling is proportional to the temperature difference. This statement is correct. We have discussed that in Newton's law, uh, the rate of change of cooling is proportional to the rate of change of cooling is proportional to the change in temperature. So this is the Newton's law. Newton's law of cooling is valid for all temperature ranges. No, this is not true. The Newton's law of cooling is not valid for higher range of temperatures. We will not apply the Newton's law of cooling there. If the difference between the surrounding and the system is less, uh, approximately 100 Kelvin, not 100 Kelvin, approximately 30 to 70 Kelvins, then we can take we can apply the Newton's law. But for higher ranges of temperature we can't apply the Newton's law of cooling. So this statement is wrong. Rate of cooling is proportional to, no, we have already discussed that rate of cooling is proportional to the difference in the temperature, not the fourth power. So this is also wrong, and fourth option is ultimately wrong. So a correct statement is the first statement, rate of cooling is proportional to the temperature difference, which is Newton's law of cooling. Next question is, an electric charge in uniform motion produces. Okay, an electric charge in uniform motion will produce an electric field. We all know that any electric charge in uniform motion can produce electric field, and due to this charge it will generate a current, and due to this current magnetic field will produce. So both electric and magnetic field will produce by moving a charge in uniform motion. Next is, heat given to a body which raises its temperature by 1 degree Celsius is. We have discussed that specific heat or specific heat capacity is the rate of change of uh, heat of 1 kg of a mass per degree centigrade is the specific heat of a gas. But here it is given that the rate of change of heat per degree centigrade is the thermal capacity. So thermal capacity or unit of thermal capacity is per degree centigrade. Change in heat per degree centigrade means joule per Kelvin. So this is thermal capacity. Next is the refractive index of a glass is 1.520 for red light and 1.525 for blue light. If d1 and d2 are the angle of minimum deviation for red light and blue light respectively, then the angle of minimum deviation is directly proportional to the refractive index of the lights. So the refractive index of, from the given information we have seen that the refractive index of blue light is more than the red light, and therefore d2 will be more than d1, because d2 is the angle of deviations of blue light and d1 is the angle of deviation of red light. So minimum deviation for blue light will be greater than the minimum angle of minimum deviation for red light. Fourth option is correct. Next is a solid sphere of steel is dipped in a liquid. What will happen to the force of buoyancy if the temperature is increased? Okay, the force of buoyancy is pressure into area. We can derive it from by this, since pressure is equals to rho gh, area is a, so height into area which is volume, so rho gv. So buoyancy force will depends on density and gravity, acceleration due to gravity and volume. So on increasing temperature of a liquid, its density ultimately decreases. Its density decreases due to increase in temperature, because by in process of convection the water which is light or which is light will comes upward, and the water which is more dense is comes downward. So this process takes place, and due to convection temperature increases and density decreases, and the liquid become less viscous. So and its volume will not this is metal still, but its volume will not its volume will be less in comparison to the increase in volume of the water. Volume of this steel ball will increase, but the volume of water will also increase, and more increases more than this. So ultimately the buoyancy force decreases due to decrease in the density of liquid. So you can say that buoyancy force will decrease by increasing temperature of a solid sphere. So second statement is correct. Next question is the temperature entropy diagram of a reversible engine is given below in the figure. What is its efficiency? Okay, we have to find the efficiency, and a temperature entropy diagram is given here. So you should know that firstly that in this temperature entropy diagram, heat is given by TdS, change in temperature, and change in entropy is proportional to the TdS. So in this path, first let it this path 1, this is path 2, let me show, this is path 1, this is path 2, and this is path 3. So in path 1 the gas expands, it means energy is of hot reservoir is taken from the energy of cold reservoir. Here the heat is of hot reservoir, and here is the absorption takes place. So heat is extracted by the cold reservoir. So this is QC, and this is there is no transfer of heat at this position. So here the heat is 0. Let me explain it clearly. In this diagram we have this cycle in TdS. So in this heat is expanding, so this is the heat of hot reservoir, and heat is absorbing by this system. So this is the heat of cold reservoir, and here the heat is 0. Okay, in this formula we will find the work done by the system. So for first one, the curve is the area under the curve is this triangle and this rectangle. So the work done, or you can say heat for hot reservoir, will be the area of triangle plus the area of this rectangle. Now the area of this triangle is half T naught plus S naught. We have calculated this from diagram. This is the base and this is the altitude. So area of triangle is half T naught S naught plus area of rectangle is T naught into 2 S naught minus S naught is S naught. So area is T naught S naught. This is the area of rectangle. So this is the heat of hot reservoir. Now we will calculate the heat of cold reservoir. So heat of cold reservoir means absorption of heat. Now this is the area, this is the path, and the area under this curve is T naught into 2S naught minus S naught is simply S naught. So for this, the area of heat of cold reservoir is simply T naught S naught, which is the area of a rectangle. Now the heat for path third is 0, because there is no change in temperature. There is no change in entropy. Entropy is constant here, and we know that heat is proportional to change in entropy. So this is 0. So here for Q3, this path, third path, the heat is transfer is 0. So area will be 0 here. Now we will find the efficiency. So we all know that efficiency is 1 minus temperature of cold reservoir sink upon temperature of source, which is hot reservoir. But we can write it in terms of heat also, 1 minus QC upon QH. So simply put the values. Eta minus heat of cold reservoir is T naught S naught, and heat of hot reservoir is T naught S naught. How much is this? We haven't calculated. Calculate it. So it will become 3 by 2 T naught S naught. So we'll put 3 by 2 T naught S naught in the denominators. So T naught S naught will cancel out, 1 minus 2 by 3. So 1 by 3 is the efficiency of our engine. So the answer is 1 by 3. I hope you understand this process. This question. So all the questions are over. I hope you all are doing well and practicing lots of questions on these thermodynamic problems and electrical current problems and all the problems and formulas which we have discussed here in the question session.